Hi everyone, I'm Rachel English, Director of Space Foundation Discovery Center. I am so excited today to be joined by Erin Bailey, one of our space education specialists, and we are going to be exploring the spacesuit here behind me. Hi Erin, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here.
So let's just start at the beginning. What do you know about an extravehicular mobility unit?
I know a little bit. So my background's in astronomy, so I never studied a lot of space exploration history, but I know the cool thing about a spacesuit, or EMU, is that it's kind of like its own little spacecraft in itself. But I don't know too much about the specifics, so I would love to learn a little bit more.
Yeah, so this actually is a spacesuit from about 2007, so it's end of the Space Shuttle program. And this is what you would wear on a spacewalk. So it's a little bit different than the Apollo suits that we see videos of, people bunny hopping around the moon. You're not really walking as much. Spacewalk is a little bit of a misnomer.
Yeah.
You're using your arms. So one of the cool things about this suit to me is that all of the joints, all of the mobility points in this suit are in the upper torso. So they're here at the shoulders, and they're here at the elbows and the wrists. And the hips and the knees, that's all one solid piece, because again, you're not really using them.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, it's very interesting. You know, we have this whole piece right here. I'm wondering, like, it doesn't seem like the astronaut actually would be able to see that. So what's going on here? Could you tell me?
Absolutely. So if we imagine that we're wearing a spacesuit and we look down, like our helmet doesn't move with us because it's attached here to the torso.
Yeah.
So we see the inside of our helmet, we see this panel up here, but we can't actually see this. And that's actually why these instructions and these numbers are backwards. Because NASA found this really kind of low-tech solution to this problem, and they put a mirror in a panel on the glove.
Interesting. So you just hold out your hand like that?
You just hold out your hand, and everything would be mirror reversed. And so you could read it and adjust your controls as needed.
Oh, fantastic.
What I was really excited to talk to you about today was the different materials that the suit is made out of, because a lot of them have come back to Earth and have impacted our daily lives in a bunch of really fun ways.
Interesting.
So in your hand here, we actually have some of those materials.
Yeah.
So this white layer here is the Extra Mobility Unit's outer shell. And this is basically a micrometeoroid layer. And so it's really, really sturdy. It's like Kevlar.
Interesting.
And then we have all of these layers of insulation, because you think space is really hot or really cold, right? It kind of depends on whether we're in the sun or not in the sun. We've got pressure layers. We've got a bladder layer that's got like a rubber coating on it. If you feel that inside, it's really smooth. And that's because we've got this liquid cooling garment under it, which has got tubes of water running through it, and that helps us regulate our body temperature.
Interesting.
But we're also sweating. So we've got this water running around, we're sweating, and we really don't want that leaking into all of those layers. So that rubber coating, that bladder layer really helps us with that.
Absolutely.
One of the coolest examples of this kind of space technology to me is actually the suits that firefighters wear. And we have a great example of that actually just over here in the gallery. You want to go take a look?
I would love to.
Let's go. So here we are in front of our firefighting uniform. We've got our gloves on.
Yes.
And so this means that our objects are protected from the oils on our hands, so we can kind of get in and touch some stuff.
Absolutely.
You were telling me that you have a pretty personal connection to stuff like this.
I do, actually. My dad is a firefighter, so I grew up learning all about personal protective equipment and all the things that firefighters will need to protect themselves from. So I do have a really personal connection to this. So what's really fun about a firefighter's suit is that it does use similar materials as you find in the EMU or any spacesuit. Some of those materials are like Kevlar and Gore-Tex. You might recognize those. Kevlar is also used in, protections, purposes for like military and police. And Gore-Tex you might find in your boots as well.
So that's like that outer layer of the spacesuit that we were talking about
Exactly.
before.
Yeah. Similarly, you need to protect the person from any sort of sharp objects. In the case of a spacesuit, it'd be micrometeorites, but in this case, it might be anything from like sharp metal or wood or things like that. And also, of course, the fire suit needs to protect you from extreme heat. So what we can see here is that we also have a similar layering idea when we look at the suit. So this outer layer is going to protect you primarily from any sort of cuts or abrasions, and of course that first layer of heat protection. This inner layer is more insulation, so you're trying to keep your body as cool as it can be.
And that's a really stiff material like we were feeling in some of the pressure layers of the spacesuit.
Yeah, so these layers will all protect the firefighter from any chemicals or heat, and also water. And water is a really big danger in fires as well because it transfers heat very, very easily. So just like in the suit for the astronaut, we want to keep any water from exiting or entering the suit because otherwise they could overheat really, really quickly.
Wow. What I've always found really fascinating is that fire departments and NASA actually work really closely together. So as NASA is making new breakthroughs in suit material, they're taking all of that information and they're bringing it back to our fire departments, and they're collaborating together to create new generations of protective equipment.
Absolutely, and I actually noticed that myself growing up because I would see my dad's fire suit, and I noticed over the years that it was actually getting lighter and a little bit more flexible as the materials and the science behind it progressed. So it's really cool to see.
That's just so cool. Thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. I learned a whole lot. I hope you did too.
I did too. This was wonderful. Thank you so much, Rachel.
Yeah, absolutely.